we have a thing on this show, and it dates back to when Thomas Vanek was dealt by the Buffalo Sabres. It's a long, long time ago. The show's been on the air for a while. And the thing is that we talk about something that may or may not happen. And we go in depth about what happens if it doesn't happen. And then immediately after the show is put out, the thing that we talked about for a good chunk of the episode happens. Last episode, we went in depth on, hey, what if the Leafs kept Timothy Liljegren? What would that look like? What are they really going to trade him for? Olli Määttä only got a third. Olli Määttä got a third, though. That's pretty good. Could the Leafs get that for Lilligren? He's only played one game this year. And we found out Timothy Liljegren was traded to the San Jose Sharks for a 3rd and 25, a 6th and 26, which makes them easy to remember. Both of those picks way better than that Montreal 2026 second-round pick. I'm just throwing that out there.
That's not true.
And Matt Benning as well, who's played over 440 games in the NHL. Right-shot defenseman, big guy, just had hip surgery, 30 years old. He's a guy that actually the Leafs were interested in like 5 years ago to acquire as like a depth piece at the deadline.
Yeah. Hip surgery will change things.
Sure. Sure. But I think he was thrown in there to help make the money work a little bit.
Yeah.
They can bury the majority of his contract. I think he makes 1.25. They can bury 1.1 of that.
I think at this stage in both of their careers, I'd rather have Connor Timmins, but whatever.
Sure.
They mentioned yesterday that Benning could get flipped.
Yes,
so,
he might.
knows?
CJ Show did mention that. And until he is flipped, he will wear number 55, last worn by Mark Giordano.
Oh, CJ Show mentioned that he could get flipped?
Yeah.
Oh, forget the TSN part.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, this is the only place I heard it was on the CJ Show.
So he could get flipped because the Leafs in this trade, they freed up some cap space if they send Benning down, but they also didn't free up any roster spots because they took a player back, and now they've assigned Hakanpää and Dewar to conditioning stints, so they've delayed the return of those two gentlemen a little bit here, but eventually they're going to need a roster spot, so something's afoot.
And conditioning stints are 2 weeks, so we may not know about this until 2 weeks from now.
That's right.
Right? So it could be a while.
They keep here.
I think what we should do on day 13 is go in depth about it and then watch them.
Metal clinking against concrete? That's them kicking the can down the road.
I like that.
Just another couple of weeks.
Yes, they're good at that.
In the immortal words of Lou Lamoriello, if you have the time, use it.
Sign it to 7 years.
Yeah, sign it.
If you have time,
make
sign
sure
it
that
to
you
7
get more
years.
time. So
Send
much
it
more
to
time.
the minors.
So Timothy Liljegren, and it was interesting to hear Craig Berube talk about it because Tim's agent was interviewed, and Craig Berube said this: looking back at training camp, I think guys just outplayed him a little bit. He's got the ability. He can skate and move the puck. I wish him all the best. It just didn't work out here. That's the best way I can put it. And his agent kind of spoke about it and said that it was stressful, that he was, packing things up. But at the same time, he probably wanted this too. His agent confirmed he wanted this. And you're still shaken by the phone call when you get traded, I think. I don't think that part's easy. But I think that this instantly puts him in top 4, if not top 2 territory.
Oh, yeah.
In San Jose. And if he can or if he can't, we'll know.
Yeah, I mean, I get sad. Every time someone who's been like with the Leafs for a while,
drafted, developed,
I get sad. And like, this is a trade that I wanted to happen, and the Leafs got way more for him than I thought, obviously based on last show. So why am I sad? I don't know. I just feel like
you're sad at the lost opportunity for both sides.
Yes, that's 100% it for both sides. I feel. There's regret to go around. And I also love how classy he was about it. Like, the agent did say one thing that I think we'll probably get to about, the Leafs not exactly liking him, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But he was honest. He didn't play well enough. They developed him, won a Calder Cup here, which meant something to me. I think a lot of this got set into motion when Rasmus Sandin got traded. I think that broke his heart a little bit. It's also kind of heartbreaking that this contingent of like the Swedish takeover that the Leafs sort of had in their prospect pool for a while is sort of over. It was Willie, it was Sandin, it was Engvall, it was Lilligren, it was Dmitry Timoshov was part of that for a while as well. I'm trying to think of other guys I might have missed. It just, I don't know, it made me sad for the guy, but like objectively, this is the right move for both teams. The Leafs were not going to use him. Mm-hmm. He lost his spot in camp. He did poorly.
Yeah.
I did say something in the LFR that rubbed some people the wrong way, but I'm going to stand by it. And let me explain it.
Controversial Steve?
No, let me because I said he had 2 coaches and 2 GMs who he lost favor with. And I stand by that. It's totally true. He had Dubas and he had Keefe, and he obviously fell out of favor with Keefe. Or at very least, Keefe didn't play him every single game. Like, it was crazy to me that even up until last year, he hadn't played himself into a position where he's playing absolutely every night. Like, dude, you can't be getting taken out. At $3 million, you definitely can't be getting taken out. And then Brad Treliving has had him for over a year. And then I said Craig Berube. And people were like, well, geez, that's a bit tough. No. You have the, whatever it is, 2-3 weeks in camp and in spring, not spring training, sorry, in preseason to impress them and be like, here's why I should be here. He did the opposite of that. And it wasn't just me and it wasn't just Craig. And Justin Bourne, I remember, and maybe not everyone saw it because it was a preseason game, had a great intermission breakdown on Sportsnet where he was just like, I'm not impressed with this player. He's making bad decisions. You don't want him out there when you have a lead. You don't want him out there when you're behind. Yeah. So what do you do here? Right? So if Lilligren at 25 years old really develops into his own in San Jose, 1, no one will be surprised. And 2, I really think it needs to be remembered that he's not in Toronto anymore for a reason.
Yeah. And no, I think to support your point, Craig Berube has been here a little bit now. Like he's had the full training camp.
Couple months.
And he's had a couple of games. And Nick Robertson did the exact opposite of Timothy Liljegren. Like there is an example of what you can do when given an opportunity. He hasn't been producing on the stat sheet, but what he did in preseason and training camp is he worked really hard. He put up points there, but the hard work and the mentality and just the skill he displayed during that period allowed him to gain favor with the coach. And now the coach trusts him to be there in big moments.
It's earned him
to be
some
on
rope.
this team.
Yeah, it's earned him some rope.
Exactly. And Lilligren had that opportunity time and time again with the Leafs because he's been here for a while. And with this head coach, he could have performed better in preseason. And at the beginning of the season, like he wasn't given that opportunity because he wasn't good then. And that's his own play. It's not on management that he didn't earn that spot.
The money factors in. And, like, I don't know if Timmins is miles better than Lilligren, but the problem is Timmins makes less than half.
Here's what Peter Wallen, who is Lilligren's agent, had to say that Steve alluded to. He said, he's always been on alert somehow. He's always needed to prove himself to the Leafs. We always felt they didn't really, really like him. They liked him, but they didn't love him. I don't know. And so...
that's not the kind of player you need. Like, can you read the quote again?
He's always been on alert somehow. He's always needed to prove himself to the Leafs. We always felt they didn't really like him. They liked him, but they didn't love him. I don't know.
This is the National Hockey League.
Yeah, and
like what?
That's us. You always need to prove yourself.
Yeah. What are you talking about? They spent a first-round pick on you. They brought you to North America immediately.
Yeah.
You won a Calder Cup with them. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like over the years we didn't go, dude, what the hell? Like, what does Lilligren got to do to be playing games over Justin Hall? And there were times where he 1,000,000% deserved to be playing games over Hall where he wasn't. And I can understand how that might screw with the person's confidence. And it's not like I don't ever have like questions of confidence in myself, but like the best athletes in this sport have a deeply ingrained belief in themselves that gets them over the top.
Also, I'm never going to fault any agent for defending their
no.
Hell no.
Saying something publicly that supports their player, just pencil that in. They're going to do that. So I think that makes sense.
And that's as gentle a criticism of the Leafs as I've ever heard an agent say, but maybe that's just because we hang out with Walsh.
And he's also being paid to say things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's his job.
Yeah.
Man,
Timothy Liljegren.
Let someone I know make $3 million and employ me. I will defend the hell out of them. Are you kidding?
Timothy Liljegren was drafted ahead of Josh Norris, Robert Thomas, Philip Hedl, Jake Ottinger. Even Morgan Frost.
Here, give me a defenseman. Right?
A defenseman?
Yeah, because all those guys.
So he was drafted just after Juuso Välimäki, Eric Brandstrom, and Cal Foote. So the draft was going all defense at that point. So from 15 to 18.
I'm not going to lie. He worked out better than most of the names you just mentioned.
Olivier Joseph was drafted after him. Henry Yoki-Haru in Chicago. He's okay. He's played a lot more games. Connor Timmins in first pick of the second round.
Actually, that's hilarious. Okay.
Nicholas Hague in Vegas, third pick.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Hague, yeah.
Gustav Lindstrom.
But then how far down are you going now?
You're going far. But what's interesting, though, is that Mario Ferraro was picked 49th, which would have been great. Okay. I look at the Leafs here and go, okay, he was supposed to go top 5. That was a shock that he fell that far.
They made the right pick.
You had to try.
Considering, they got William Nylander. I discovered this, or reminded myself of this while shooting the Lilligren trade video. The Leafs' first-round picks go as follows. 2014, William Nylander. 2015, Mitch Marner. 2016, Austin Matthews. 2017, Timothy Liljegren. Right? So we're looking at this rebuild. And you might look at that and go, oh, just get the best player, get the best forward. Dude, 2012 was Morgan Riley. That was the last defenseman they picked first round. Then it was Freddie the GOAT, Willie, Mitch, Austin, even Korshkov was first pick of the second round in 2016. It's all
they
forward.
were daft in the way they drafted for a while there. The Mark Hunter drafts were not very good.
Well,
despite what was propagated by one member of the media that people swallowed hook, line, and sinker. Outside of the first rounds, Mark Hunter didn't have a great draft record here. And guys like who you just mentioned, Korshkov. What do we?
Well, what was the stat that went around? I think it was Josh Cloakey. Out of the 2017 and 18 drafts, the only guy left is Pontus Holmberg or something like that. Yeah. It's really not good. But they needed a defenseman. And how long have they needed a right-handed defenseman? It's the 2017 draft. We just watched Erik Karlsson basically Hercules the Sens to nearly the Stanley Cup final. And this kid falls into the Leafs' laps at 17, and we're like, well, you're not going to take him.
Yeah.
You have to. He was the right pick.
Yep.
And I think things can not work out and it still be the right decision at the time.
And I think that the agent saying the Leafs liked him but they didn't love him, I think it was because in big moments he made big mistakes. And at the beginning of last season, Steve took a lot of heat, and I think this is worth bringing up, for saying we got to find out what Timothy Liljegren is. Are you a top 4 defenseman or are you waiver guy? And the reality is, we still don't know the answer to that. We don't even, it's not that, I don't think he's quite waiver guy.
I'm pretty confident. This is a great, I like the draft capital the Leafs got. This is friggin' great for Liljegren's career.
Yes.
So I'm confident he will not be waiver guy for at least a few years. Even if things don't work out, right? Here, he was dangerously close to being waiver guy. If he didn't make $3 million, he 1,000,000% would have been waiver guy. If he didn't shoot right-handed, he would have been waiver guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh well,
it happens.
I don't begrudge that. A lot of people like this guy. He had a lot of good numbers in sheltered third pair minutes, and he was the king of giving you 2 weeks of this guy's going to be a god hockey. And then he'd get exposed. He was one of many prospects over the Matthews era who would tease you and tantalize you and sink more than swim more often than not over the long term.
Right.
A lot of defensemen like that.
So the deal has happened. Matt Benning is a Leaf. The 3rd and the 6th rounders are Leaf picks. And I would imagine that third round becomes pretty valuable come trade deadline.
Yeah, I in my video I went over like some of the trades that were made at last year's deadline. Vladimir Tarasenko, who won a cup with the Panthers, was had for a third and a fourth. Carolina got Lyubushkin for a third. Tyler Toffoli went to the Jets for a second and a third.
Carolina got Lyubushkin for a third? I thought he was a Leaf.
Not last year. Wait, or was it last year? No. Huh?
Wasn't Bush a Leaf? Am I losing my mind?
Maybe I'm wrong.
What did you say, Steve?
I can't. I said Lyubushkin to the Hurricanes.
Wasn't Lyubushkin a Leaf? Like
maybe I misread the thing that I saw. Anyway, Jesse will look that up. Joel Edmondson was a third and a fifth.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, is that going to get you a superstar at the deadline? No, but it's just something that helps you along the way.
Yeah, Lyubushkin never played for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, he was on the Leafs last year.
Yeah.
I know people are like, can you take 20 seconds to Google things? But like, it's 20 seconds times 100.
Yeah.
You don't realize how many things are said. I fucked up. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, Steve, you should live in that shape forever.
I will.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. The point is that, when we've got
It was a third though, wasn't it? I don't know.
probably was. The point is,
history.
I think the Leafs went into this year thinking we hope that we don't have to make a move at the deadline for a defenseman, a depth defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think if they're going to make a move for anything, it's going to be a center. I think they're making a move for a center at some point, unless Domi's looked pretty good with on that third line. I think he's probably better suited at the wing, but I will take that. I would love for them to add to depth scoring at the deadline.
Steve,
Yes.
let's clarify and give you some credit. Because he kind of was a Hurricane. The Ducks acquired Kirill Sleps from the Hurricanes for Lyubushkin, who then they flipped to Toronto for a 6th round pick. So the way that Toronto got Ilya Lyubushkin last February was in a 3-way deal via the Carolina Hurricanes. But no third was involved there.